Got the 95 Prelude here. It's got 2.3 VTEC engine. It's got some stalling problems. I need to look into that and see exactly why it's stalling. I got it to stall a couple of times today, and when I pulled it in the garage to actually start checking it out, and now I don't want to do it. So what will happen, it'll shut down while running, and it'll have an extended crank, and it can't crank, and it can crank, but it can't start up on its own without pressing the accelerator pedal. From what I noticed, it needed help. And then it was kind of fickle. If you let it sit for a while, then it'll start up. But if you notice one thing, you hear that? It's got a miss. So there's a cylinder with low compression. And I'm gonna show you another thing too. But I do have that intake hose off. I'm gonna show you something else that will correlate with this misfire, because I'm suspecting we're dealing with a worn out motor and maybe a set of spout plugs. And I'm going to show you that. But let me shut the engine down and start it up, and then we'll go through the whole spew. So I know what a lot of people may suspect is like an idle air control valve problem. No. If I press the accelerator pedal down and it don't start up, there's something else we're dealing with. So let's move on. So the first thing here is this wind tunnel. Look at the amount of blow-by this engine has. Look all the oil collected inside the throttle plate. Remove the oil cap. So you get the idea why I'm suspecting we're dealing with a worn engine and foul plugs. So the engine, yes, worn, not a big deal, but it shouldn't be stalling and having a hard time starting up. So that's why I'm suspecting, like, let's just check the plugs, because we might just have an inefficient spark. Despite the compression loss, some of those other cylinders should be able to help and pick up what's lagging and get that working like it's supposed to. So due to the fact we have an excessive amount of oil inside that intake, that throttle body, this needs to be cleaned out. And before I do all that, we're going to inspect those spark plugs and see what they look like at the tips of them, because that's going to tell us every single thing. I hate that this is not broke, because it'll be a lot easier to figure out. But being that we're dealing with the engine problem, we gotta have compression for it to work. And we gotta have, with compression, we gotta have an efficient spark. That's a smart idea. I like to keep the heat away. To keep the heat away. Well, that was a good idea to keep the heat away. Anyway, well, we gotta have spark. We gotta have good compression for the spark to do its thing. And I can assure you, that is very hot. We got a little bit of oil on a couple of those, no big deal. I can assure you we're just dealing with the worn engine. That's just my assumption here. So we're gonna run these out. Just use a 10 millimeter. Here's a 5/8. Oh, that's loose. That might cause some compression loss issues right there. That was very loose. Hopefully the threads are not broken. Let me see if it'll run in. Oh. Okay, I think we're fine. This is a very weak impact gun, so let me see if I can. Let me use my hand here. Yeah, this is tight. It works out fine. Okay. This is a very, very weak impact gun. So we're gonna pull out one. So here's number one. We can see that there is carbon buildup in the plug well here. and just a little bit on the ground and on the insulation right there by the electrode. Nothing crazy, but it is ingesting oil, and it's likely doing it through the piston rings during the combustion process, because if it was ingesting it pre-valve, it'll typically look blacker. The age of the plug, I usually use the body here, the porcelain, to determine the age of it. And if it's bypassing, if the combustion is bypassing the through the body, and you can see that flashbang on the porcelain here, then that's the indication that it's seeping through the plug well and exiting here. So this is a good determination of age. So it is old. It's an old plug. I could check the gap if I had to, but it's not that serious. It is worn out. I'm just mainly focusing on the tips here. These are NGK, and what are these? These are iridium. Yeah. So here's the thing. These are iridium plugs, and this is where I think a lot of people get the misunderstanding of putting the wrong plugs in vehicles. Now, this is the indication where, yes, this is a wrong plug, meaning the brand is fine. You can put auto lights in here for all I care, but the material is improper. So what happens on these old cars, it had a very inefficient ignition system. Unlike the modern cars of the day that utilize an ignition coil, everything's encapsulated here. They make the voltage the big one coil makes, but it's right there isolated with that one spark plug. See, this don't have to travel much. It goes from the primary out through the secondary side here and then back out here. That's it. It's not much. That's why we can put a more inefficient plug, which is the point I'm getting at, with these newer vehicles. The reason why these use copper plugs, and again, it's not the brand, it's the material. The reason why they use copper plugs was because they're efficient and lower in resistance, but just because the material's softer, they don't last long. That's why these have to use copper, or platinum or something like that, which is just a little bit more inefficient. But these should take copper. And being that we have iridium plugs in here, we have a foul plug, and on top of that, this plug isn't going to be as efficient, or the resistance is not going to be as low on this plug as it would as a copper. So it's not going to flow as free on this one. So we're likely just dealing with plug efficiency for the main issue as far as it stalling, versus some other signs. But we're still going to do a compression test, but we need efficiency. I know, I can understand we got poor compression probably on one of these cylinders, but the spark is not going to be efficient. These plugs are just old and it's slightly missing. So we can fix that, and it'll bring up the efficiency, get that oil cleaned out, and this car should run 10 times better, and it should correct the stalling. So that's what I think we're dealing with. Let's get these other plugs out. Here's number 2. This was the loose one. Yeah, this one is definitely going to be the one probably with low compression. That's the one we heard with low compression. Look how foul it is. That's just definitely an inefficient burn. Uh-oh, hold on. This is going to be a sign of an inefficient burn here. This is the more fouled one. Still old. Let's pull out number 1. I'm sorry, did I say number 2? 1, 2, 3. I think I called that one 2. That's 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here's number 4 right here. This is the worst out of the bunch. We definitely have a lot more inefficiency on that one. So our low compression likely is going to be on either one of these two. This was a low plug, but this might legitimately have low compression. All right, let's do a compression test. I've been having some equipment malfunction. I tell you what, I'm gonna get this in here, ran down, and hopefully my gauge worked like it's supposed to. It's locked. All right, let's see. Leave that down there. One about 120. Oh, we were making 150 on this one. So one got good compression. Like I said, I was suspecting 3 and 4 to probably be our problem, just because of how the plugs look. Let's see if I'm right. And another 150. All right. Yeah, so this one is a little lower, 130. You heard that? I know you heard that. It sounds horrible. 70 psi. Told you. Let me do it again. Yep. Look at that. Did it twice, and we're at 60 now. Just to prove that this is not equipment malfunction, we're gonna pull this out, and we're gonna go to number 3 again, because we know what that made. And again, we're dealing with, I don't even have to do any other tests because we know what we got. We blow by, low compression, worn piston rings. That's it. That's all that is. I mean, this is just this old school stuff, and it still apply to new school. But we're just dealing with a worn piston. At least we can, same thing, 130. But at least we can bring the efficiency back up like I've been preaching earlier. Those plugs are fouled. Let's put the proper ones that belong in here, the proper material, not the brand, and clean that throttle body out with some brake clean, and we should be good to go. Should help a lot. This particular case, I think it's worth just putting the Borescope down there. Let's do that. We're not going to be able to see anything out, I'd imagine, but let's just take a look at the piston tops, and maybe we can look at the side walls. Oh, we did find something. Let me show you what I found out. Look at that. The piston's broken. I can tell you. You see those marks? That piston ring is broken. You can see, let me see if I can get this. All right, let's see what we get here. See that gap right there? Gap right there. It's a possibility of a spark knot, lean conditions, just age. I mean, but something had to happen. Something had to happen. Timing looks okay. Yeah, we were dealing with probably some lean conditions. Probably driving it hard, detonation. Look at the scoring here on the walls. I don't know how deep that is, because the only thing is I'm not going to be able to see any depth perception. Let's see if we can flip the camera on the side here. There it go. Oh wow, yeah, look how deep. Yeah, you can see how deep that is. Just got broken pistons. I don't know if the camera detail will pick that up. Right there. All that Let me see if I can turn the light down. I don't remember if I can do this. Yeah, I got the light turned down. And it's fine. I'm not able to see everything. But yeah, that was a deep, man. Damn, that's deep. That's deep. This piston has broken and it's gonna need to be replaced. We need a motor. That's all it is. But we can put plugs in there. Lucas would like work in this condition because it'll fill that void there. Other than that, I mean, this motor just needs to be replaced because the block is trash unless you get the block board and stuff. But that's it. It's broken. We're just out of routine. Let's go ahead and check the oil level. And there is none. Put in the dipstick. Hop it back in there. She bone dry. Well, so there's a couple different things could have happened. Maybe the piston broke, causing blow by. It ate more oil, but I don't think the oil was the primary cause of this issue that we got on that cylinder, because it's more stress on the rotating assembly than the piston rings. So I'm not going to worry about the oil. This is normal. Hondas can run pretty low on oil and still survive. These are, I hate to say bulletproof, but we don't have rotating assembly issues. The lubrication system is great on this vehicle. It's just something happened. Driving it hard, probably. Timing. Gas quality. Injector could have been an issue. Lean condition. Damage to pistons. Piston rings and the ring land. So that's what we're dealing with. Let me see if he's willing to put Lucas in here, and because it's broken. I mean, it needs a motor. There's nothing we can do about it. But this is that rare circumstance where Lucas will only work. Lucas don't work for anything else. I'm just gonna be straight up. But I think we put Lucas in here. Let's see if the compression builds up, which I think it would, and go from there. But at the same time, there's no oil in here. The walls aren't getting lubricated. But if we put the oil in there, put the Lucas in there, it should work. The standard with all the other cylinders, they're fine. We know that compression is low. Let's top the oil off, put Lucas in it, see if it builds the compression up. So just got back from the parts store. Wound up getting nickel spark plugs because they didn't have any coppers available. And these will work just fine. So we're in a good shape. And I did get some Lucas. And again, we're going to treat the symptoms. We're not going to fix anything. The premise is, being that these conditions call for it, because there's blow by in one cylinder, the compression is going to be lower. Once we put something thicker in there, it should have a hard time passing through those oil rings and piston rings because it's thicker. So it'll put a film in those crevices, and it's going to help with compression. It's not going to fix it. So it'll help with the oil consumption and the blow by. But we're going to check the compression. Pretty much it's just simply install the plugs, top the oil off. When I get the car back running, we're going to clean the throttle body out, get the cleaner in there, get that taken care of. And after I get the car nice and warm, run another compression test. And 3. So we're going to, those are the ones that are problem child, so I'm not going to worry about these. These are fine. Let's just check those and see if it builds the compression back up. So the plan, I'm going to dump about a third of the bottle in there. So about like right there. Get a generous amount. I got a little more than what I wanted to, so we're down like a little bit right around there. So I got about 40% of the bottle in there. This is not a zero weight. This is just the bottle I use to pour oil that I buy in there. It's just a container. That's all it is. Somebody, people in the comment be like, "Hey, you put zero weight in there, I will never." And they don't even like listen or watch the video. Like, there's, man, I tell you what, I'm not gonna complain. I need to put one more quart in there. Oil is topped off now, and I'm totally aware that it needs to be changed. So let's get over that. While I'm letting it run, I'm gonna clean that throttle body out. Once it warms up, do a compression test. Definitely idles a lot smoother now. So I wind up cleaning the intake and the throttle body out pretty well. So I'm gonna let it sit there and run for about 20 minutes, let the oil circulate, and then we'll do another compression test. All right, we've been running for 40 minutes. I'm gonna shut the engine off, start it back up, and see how it responds. Starts up a lot more sooner. Let me get that number 4 out. Let's run the compression. Before it was 60 to 70. I want to say 70 at the most, but for the sake of this product, I'm going to lowball. I'm going to say 60%, and let's see what the difference is. Here's our problem child spark plug. Here's our number 3 plug. Now, in all fairness, I did hit it with some brake cleaner, but at the same time, if the burn was efficient, it wouldn't foul out like this, and it should work out. Let me get one of the plugs out that the cylinder had good compression in. Number 1 was the best. I'd imagine it will still have that red tone. No. Well, I guess I was wrong. I mean, this isn't exactly the newest vehicle, so the efficiency isn't going to be there, but it still could have like some emissions issues. This one does look a lot better than 3 and 4. Pop this back in there. The car just seems to be running overall rich. So we're right at 120 on cylinder 3. Let's see if cylinder 4 made any difference. If I recall properly, cylinder 3 was at 124. But I remember this one being low. This was our problem child. Yeah, no. it didn't make a difference, unfortunately. I am going to redo the test to make sure my equipment is not at fault here. I want no excuses. Yeah, still 60 psi. So in conclusion, the circumstances did call for it, but here's the thing: this is abnormal wear. If the piston rings had just worn out on normal terms versus those cylinder walls actually having some sort of compromise, this would be a lot better. But being that, you know, we could say, well, you didn't drive the car long enough, it didn't circulate that well. I mean, it's oil. I mean, it's going to get hot. It sat there and idle for a while. It's not going to heal anything. It's going to do what it's going to do after a while sitting there idling. Now, I'll give you that. The thing is, this is going to treat the symptoms, slowing down the oil consumption, slowing down the blow by, because it is thicker. It's a higher viscous, more viscous oil, so it's going to help. Unfortunately, it didn't bring up the compression. Maybe after a while driving the wheel, but you have to understand, them walls are damaged. I mean, they are. Wolverine went down there with his claws, messed them walls up, so it's not going to fix anything. Is it not worth trying? No, it's definitely worth trying, and I do believe it's going to definitely help. Seems like it slowed down the blow by. We'll see what happens in the future if it lasts a little bit longer and slows this oil consumption. But hey, if anything happened, I'll definitely update and we'll get this put back together and take it on test drive, make sure everything's fine. But hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, how to register some work. See you on the next one.